Alright then everyone, well, what's been happening lately is just completely nuts. Some of you will recall that I did do videos on Vladimir Putin years ago when I was doing like a prophecy update series. I called it the Third Red Scare, and I did some other ones on Russia and also China. But during that time, I was reading a book by Alexander Litvinenko, who was murdered, assassinated by Putin, and it was called Blowing Up Russia, the book that got Litvinenko murdered. And I mean, Western leaders should have known that this would happen, because he wrote about it all, guys, He says in this book that Putin was planning to restore the Soviet Union, and that he'd hired all his ex-KGB buddies, he gave them all important positions, so I mean, if anything happens to Putin, there'll just be another one. It's like the Hydra. You cut off one head and another grows right back in its place. And he made sure of that. Alright? By promoting all his ex-KGB buddies. So what I was planning to do is go through this book right here, Blowing Up Russia. And I'm going to show you all my highlights. Alright? Alright, let's find it. Russia. Search. There we go. Right, here we go. My highlights and notes from this book. Russia's security services. This conglomerate, which remained in the shadow during the years of Soviet rule, today owns and governs Russia. Putin was a long-time officer of the KGB FSB with the rank of colonel and a former head of the Federal Security Service of Russia FSB. Soviet Russian intelligence agencies have been using radioactive poisons for over half a century, and I think they used radioactive poison to bump off the author of this book, Litvinenko. I think I've seen a picture of him with all his hair gone. He's in hospital, dying of cancer, chemo or something. So yeah, it's how they killed him. There was that thing in the UK a few years ago. Another incident there. Congratulate me. I just became a British citizen. Now they won't dare to touch me. No one would try to kill a British citizen. These were the words with which Alexander Litvinenko greeted me on October 13th, 2006 in London at a memorial service for Anna. 19 days later, on November the 1st, 2006, Litvinenko was poisoned. Spoke too soon there. There's no limits to how far Putin will go, He'll break every rule, as we're seeing, with the cluster bombs and this thermobarbaric bomb thing, which is, I think it's the worst bomb you can use before going nuclear, And he's already used it. Oh dear. And a man who isn't afraid to cluster bomb a nursery school 7 times, deliberately, not it's not collateral damage we're talking about here, alright? He targeted it specifically, and cluster bombs I looked them up, and they're designed so that the clusters of bombs that don't explode. The reason he targeted the school is so that those that don't explode, the kids pick them up. That's probably why they're banned. It's sick, man. It's sick, and he knew full well that was the case, and that's why he hit a school with cluster bombs. He was counting on the kids picking them up. This guy is just unbelievably sick. Anyway, here we go. Like I said, he's just going to go full bore now. Alright. Total war. I said this days ago before it unfolded. I knew because he'd already crossed that point of no return. Okay, there's only one direction for him now. Yeah. If he stops, he's going to have to face reality. So he's not going to stop. I did not like what Putin was doing with Russia from the very beginning of his term. When he dissolved the High Chamber of the Russian Parliament, reintroduced the old Soviet hymn, and promoted into top government positions his old friends and colleagues from the FSB, as I mentioned previously. Alexander said that if Putin came to power, he would start purges. People would be killed or arrested. I can feel this. He will kill all of us as well. Trust me, I know what I am saying. This was in the beginning of 2000, shortly before Putin became president. I came to the conclusion that those terrorist acts had been conducted by the Russian security services and blamed on the Chechens in order to start the Second Chechen War, which indeed began shortly following the attacks on September 23rd, 1999. Find everything you can about Max Lazovsky. He was an FSB operative and he was in charge of a terrorist campaign of 1994. If you understand Lazovsky, how he operated, how his organization was built, you will understand everything. But Yuri, be careful. If anyone else finds out that you are investigating Lazovsky, they will kill you, since they will figure out very quickly that you are interested in 1999, not in 1994. But the key to everything is Lazovsky and his system. Interesting. I might find out a bit more about this guy. Well, it's a bit late now, you know. This is why I did those videos years ago, guys. I think a lot of people knew Putin had a game plan, alright. But the ones that did know and should have done something about it didn't, alright. The FSB created a new economic department. You see, the thing is, like, it's too late now, because when they were negotiating, okay, with Putin's generals or whoever it was, Putin wasn't there. Don't know if you noticed. I mean, this guy could be underground anywhere, alright, and just issuing out all these orders, who to nuke next, and we wouldn't know where he is. We'd never be able to get him. This is what is so frightening, guys. Oh dear. Should have taken him out when we had the chance, or hypnotise him, like I said in a previous video, because he's nuts. He's got this paranoia. He's got a mental illness. So, but this is Putin, like, his whole life he's been like this, alright, so it's going to be virtually impossible to change his mind, okay? He's not known anything else, and it's so calculative what he's been doing. Helped the FSB extort money from businesses. He confiscated by the FSB on its way to Moscow. The greatest, of course, was the fact that the Russian security services had been behind the terrorist acts of 1999. I don't know what he's referring to there, some of you may. On the 1st of November 2006, he was poisoned. That'll be Litvinenko. Now, there's something, I think I read it in here, about Putin arresting the richest man in Russia when he became president. Took all of his money and put him in jail. And I think that's even in a museum somewhere. I think it might be the Checkpoint Charlie Museum in Berlin. I remember seeing a whole section on Putin and his communist regime in a museum. Yeah, I think it was in Germany when I went there. Anyway, let's see if it's in here, yeah? Where he arrests the richest man and nicks all his money. Terrible, terrible. The KGB had formerly been under the political control of the Communist Party, which served to some extent as a brake on the activities of the special agencies, since no significant operations were possible without the sanction of the Politburo. After 1991, the MBFSK FSB began operating in Russia absolutely. Independently and totally unchecked, apart from the control exercised by the FSB over its own operatives. This all-pervading predatory structure was now unrestrained by either ideology or law. The secret services realised that this new era, free of communist ideology and party control, offered them certain advantages. Somehow, former prominent KGB men began turning up at the very highest echelons of power, frequently unnoticed by the uninitiated. The first of them was secret agents, like Putin, his Cold War buddies, but later they were former or serving officers. Prominent leader of the reform movement in Russia was KGB man Vladimir Putin. In Sobchak's own words, this meant that the KGB controls St. Petersburg. The attempts made by the KGB to establish control over the financial activities of various companies always follow the same pattern. The first stage begins when gangsters attempt to collect protection money or usurp rights which are not their own. Something about the Russian business elite here. Real power remained as before in the hands of the secret services. Gradually, with the help of journalists who were operatives or agents of the FSB and SBP, and an entire army of unscrupulous writers eager for easy, sensational material, the small number of oligarchs in Russian business came to be declared thieves, swindlers, and even murderers. The FSB, the SBP, the FSO, the SVR, the Central Intelligence Department, the General Public Prosecutor's Office, the MOD, the Ministry of the Interior, the Customs Service, Tax Police, and so on. It was these people who were the true oligarchs, the grey cardinals and shadowy managers of Russian business and the country's political life. The tactics and strategy of the Russian agencies of state security, whose ultimate aim is absolute power. Like what Putin's got right now. FSB's terrorist campaign against Russia. Right. Okay, that's it then. Those are my notes. Nothing about that. The richest man. I'm gonna have a quick look, find out this thing about the richest man in Russia, and you know, he just stole all his money. Let's have a quick look. Mikhail Khodorkovsky. Okay, is this the dude? Exiled, now residing in London. He was the wealthiest man in Russia. In October 2003, he was arrested by Russian authorities and charged with fraud. The government under Russian President Vladimir Putin then froze shares of Yukos shortly thereafter on tax charges. His government took further actions against Yukos, leading to a collapse of the company's share price and the evaporation of much of Khodorkovsky's wealth. They sentenced him to 9 years in prison. Yeah. These trumped up charges. Yeah. All these false allegations, arrested him, took all his money. Yeah, so there we go, another story for you about Putin. It's in a museum somewhere, I've seen it. Now, he's used these thermobaric weapons. He's used cluster bombs on kids. 16 children died today, apparently. And it's just getting worse. And I think the sanctions seem to have done something, okay. I don't think he bargained on that. Although he's probably prepared, you know. Apparently he's been preparing this for a very, very long time, decades, guys. So he's already prepared for sanctions. He's protected himself from that. Once he goes too far, we'll have no choice but to respond. Has he already gone too far, killing all these kids? I mean, it's very provocative. It's almost as if he's trying to start nuclear war. Yeah, exactly. But why would he cluster bomb a school full of kids 7 times? He's trying to start a nuclear war, alright? He's trying to provoke the West into taking it to that stage. He's just a madman at the end of the day, and you can't succumb to him, you know. So, I mean, how long do you have to prolong it for? Until he dies of old age? But then what? Who's going to take his place? It'll be one of his KGB buddies. All have the same viewpoint, okay, we want the same thing. Whether he will be as insane or not, we don't know, but it's not likely that both Putin and another Russian leader to his successor, are both going to be mentally ill and have this paranoid personality disorder. Yeah, that's unlikely. So it could just be a case that you need to wait it out until there's another leader of Russia, unfortunately. That could be a very long time. But realistically, how else can you avoid nuclear war? Dunno. It's messed up. In fact, it's almost as if we need to like accept that this madman who's got his finger on the button is having a little episode, yeah, and we just gotta leave him be until he calms down a bit. Now, the problem there is he's not going to for the rest of his life, because it's been his whole life planning this. So I don't know. I don't see what you can do. You can't do anything, can you? Gee whiz. But I'll tell you what should absolutely be compulsory. It should be a mandate for all leaders, okay, of the world need to sign this. Especially the ones, the superpowers of the world. Need psych evals, okay? Need psychological checkups, yeah? Now, I don't know why this isn't the case already. If you're going to be a world leader, okay, who can control nuclear weapons, then you need to have psychological evaluations on a regular basis to prevent stuff like this happening. What on earth? And there is one other option, okay, went through it before, and that's hypnotism. He needs to be hypnotised. Or, where's all this psych warfare, okay? These psyops. Is it all a bunch of mumbo jumbo, yeah? Or can you actually get into people's heads? Because if you can, it might be a good idea to get into Putin's head right now. Come on. I thought the governments, the military were capable of doing this. Yeah. Harp. Hang on. Yeah. Come on. What, you have harp. Alright. America. Why don't you use harp on this guy or something like it to influence his decisions? Yeah. Why aren't we using harp or a super weapon like harp on Putin? Okay, to get into his head and stop him. In fact, that's what you need to do. You need to arrange more negotiations. Alright, not with Putin himself, but his other dudes. Alright. And you need to brainwash him. Okay. But Manchurian Candidate movie, yeah? Yeah, you need to do that at this meeting, so when they go back to consult with Putin, that they overthrow him. Yeah? If that's even possible. Now he's probably going to stay isolated from everyone, okay, including his generals. Yeah.